House that we do for good experience, God's forgiveness in our lives. We can't be discouraged because this process doesn't stop. That life is rare, that it needs to be appreciated, to be tasteful, that this life deserves to be lived at every moment, at each stage, with great intensity. And sometimes we're getting tired, right? We are losing the ability to have this patience. You can see, when we are too stressed, the first thing we lose is patience. We have difficulty dealing with time. We have difficulty dealing with waiting, delays. We want everything for yesterday. We put our soul in such a rapid pace that is so contrary to light. My people, we need to pay close attention to the rhythm we are giving to our soul. Many times we are making our soul live in a rhythm that suffocates, that kills gradually. And who imposes this rhythm on the soul? The body, because we cannot separate the two realities. Christian anthropology teaches us that body and soul need to be combined together. But you can't forget that they have different needs. They are two realities that need different things. The body needs physical activity, needs food, needs rest, needs knowledge. It is not how it works. If you take good care of your body's health, you will observe the need from time to time to check up, have a blood test, examine everything that is the functioning of your body, because you want to live. You want to have health. So to have health, you need to manage the needs of the body. It is necessary to understand the mechanism of the body, how it works. What are the needs it has? The body needs hygiene, which is why we can't help but bathe, cut our hair, cut our nails. The body needs to have dynamics. It needs to be willing, so we put a discipline of physical activity so that this body is not aged more than the age you are. This also happens. Sometimes we are 50 years old. But because of the wrong life we gave to the body, that we have imposed on the body, maybe we are already 70 years old in the flesh, but not in reality. So the body has needs that if we do not observe, it enters a process of bankruptcy soon. Then that beautiful life you could enjoy, you don't enjoy it because you were negligent with the needs of your body. Then you go to the needs of the soul. Oh my God, how different the needs of the soul are different. The soul needs prayer. The soul needs silence. Of course, it is the body that makes this silence so that then the soul can feel. I like to say that when the body is silent, until the soul begins to feel the benefits of the body to be quiet and silent, it is a while. It is not immediate. The soul gets a reboot inside the body because we are always hurrying. We are giving the body a hallucinating rhythm constantly. So the soul has difficulty resting. And prayer, the true prayer, is the one that silent the body. The soul also begins to shut up, and then she begins to be prone to God. She begins to have the possibility of having a meeting with God. Because in disciplining the body in quiet, silence, the soul begins to enter this context of silence, of stillness, which is where we will have the opportunity to hear God speak with us. Because I'm going to tell you something. Today it is impressive how we find people who are destroying their lives because they have not learned patience. The hurry kills us. You who are listening to me, I'm sure you suffer in your flesh the consequences of your anxiety. Does anxiety get sick? Does the lack of patience harm your relationship with others? Your life demands you. You have a social life that throws you out all the time. You work a lot. You find a lot of people. And what is the space you create to create within your heart this space of patience that only God can give us? What is the space you create so that God will be able to shape your soul according to your will, the desire He has? What space do you offer God for your spiritual flowering to happen, so that you do not wear out too much in this life that does not stop, in this life that is so rare, and that you often do not realize it because of the way of life you chose to live? I told you that here once, and repeat again. Founder of the congregation of the Sacred Heart of Jesus Fathers, where I was formed, Thank God. All my formation I owe to the Congregation of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. For Father John Leo of Ulm, he said so. God cannot do anything with our works if before he has no heart. That's what I'm talking about. When we offer God our service and forget to offer him the heart, which is the metaphor of all my behind the scenes, God will not be able to restore what I offer to the other through my work. And in a short time I will be offering me, and offer me, only me, will wear too much. I will be tired. I will lose my patience. I will be stressed. I will be gross with people. And I will forget the delicacy that is precisely the characteristic of every Christian. Therefore, do not be afraid to introduce into the dynamics of your daily life the space of your inner restoration. It can be 5-10 minutes. Silence. Prayer. Deep breath. The exercise of deep breathing is excellent for those who want to rest, for those who want to sleep well. A good reading. A song that is worth doing well. Father, my question is as follows. Is God's forgiveness above all we do? And just ask for her forgiveness, for us to be forgiven? First, God's forgiveness in our life is not a magical process. Just as we also know that in life, there is nothing magical. Everything is the result of a struggle, of a process. We have no magic solution to things, and God also treats us according to life. Theology teaches us that God does not contradict the order of created realities at all. God cannot interfere with history in order to counteract the created reality. God does not contradict creation. And the process of human life is totally inserted into the process of created reality. I am a human being who I live the rules of the human condition. You are a human being who lives the rules of the human condition. And here there is that basic law. What we plant, one day we reap. When we talk about human mistakes, we talk about this context then. We are within this context. A mistake is always a reality that has the power to disturb us. If you don't bother today, sooner or later it will bother. Mistakes are like stones full of edges, which don't settle very easy inside us. How can we understand God's forgiveness in our lives? Forgive everything. Is God's forgiveness above any human reality? It is. But everything in God is configured as a reality of two pillars. What is the gift, which we receive for free? But what is a task? That is, what is a reality that depends on our effort? So God always forgives us. Always forgive. The love of God is above any mistake, the worst of criminals, the most heinous mistake. The most heinous crime is forgiveness to him before the eyes of God. Clear. God is merciful and will always extend his love in the direction of humanity. But there is a detail. There is a human reality that also needs to be forgiven. And often the dimension of God's love and forgiveness cannot achieve human reality. It is not because God does not want to forgive. It is because human reality is still terribly hurt by the mistake madam. So we can only understand the benefit of God's forgiveness when we also work in the reality of human forgiveness. So it is no use for a person to hear of confessing, telling their sins, their mistakes, if there is no after confession or reintegration process. That is to realize what was disharmonized inside. So the gift of God, which is always forgiving, will only have effectiveness in human life. That is why forgiveness is always a therapeutic process of reconciliation. Many times we find people who have already confessed their sins, but who have not yet confessed to themselves. They have already received God's acquittal, but have not yet received the acquittal of themselves. It's interesting, I remember that Titanic movie when in the final scenes, when that old lady is telling her the boats who left, they did not go there in the middle of the wreck to seek those who needed to be rescued, because they were afraid that in an attempt to climb that bunch of people drowned, that in an attempt to climb the boats, those boats wrecked too. And then everyone died. And I remember that there is a beautiful scene because she said so. You said, in fact, what happened next was the attempt to reconcile with a story. Because those who were saved from wreck lived forever with that unfortunate conscience. We should have returned to seek those who were in need of help. And then she uses a beautiful and sad expression at the same time. After that, they went through their lifetime waiting for an acquittal that never arrived. You see, here you have a very concrete fact for us to understand the process of human acquittal. When I commit a crime, for example, if I were on that boat and I had decided not to go back to fetch the castaways that were there, needing to be removed from the icy waters of the Atlantic Ocean, I will have to live the rest of my life with this decision. This is a human process. As much as God tries to interfere, as much as God proves to me his love, I will have to live with this unfortunate conscience of not having returned, not having done, of not having loved. And then, my people, when we didn't achieve the resultment of forgiveness, we will hardly feel the love of God and the forgiveness of God, divine reconciliation. Because God is grace supplies nature, as it is said. We need healed human reality so that God will be fully revealed in us. This is why holiness is a process of human improvement. How am I going to experience God's forgiveness in my life? I experience God's forgiveness in my life as I forgive myself, where I forgive others, where I am forgiven by others. The historical context of forgiveness is life. Is that what you remove there inside your heart is guilt? Sometimes you have confessed so many times this sin. God has forgiven you. Make sure that now the process is yours. It is your homework. The gift has already been delivered to it. It is present. Forgiveness is for free. God has forgiven him for free. He has asked him absolutely nothing. But it is natural that the human answer is given from a task. The well-done task is the guarantee of the remedied heart. From the healed heart, it is not a miracle. It is not magical. Forgiveness is a historical process of work, as if you have to live this process of reconciliation every day. And of course, the worse the mistake, the greater the consequences of damage to the mistakes we make. The greater the work you will have. Sin is not a problem for God. Sin is a problem for yous. Why we have to live with our weaknesses all the time. And I even believe it so much, because the quality of the Christian is directly associated with the quality of personal work he has with himself. It is the human matter being worked every day. Cut, withdrawn in the edges, right? When we find out that there is within us a human process to be done, so that God's process in me is transparent, it is the same as a dirty glass. People, the more we play light in that dirty glass, the greater the dirt that appears. But that's not to be discouraged. No, the more light you play in that glass, the greater the need you have to polish it, to clean it, to remove the accumulated fat, the accumulated dust up. Sometimes we are like dirty glasses, right? It is a lot of accumulated fat. It is a lot of accumulated dust in our lives for the lack of forgiveness, the lack of reconciliation with ourselves, with others. So it's a process that we have to take care of every day. God's forgiveness is above all things. But we can say, but it depends all the time on the human reconciliation we live. So if I need to reconcile with my past, with my mistakes, I need to look at a little more mercy. Sometimes I need to look with a little more mercy with the other, the one who offended us, the one who used it at hurt. All of this is a task. It is a duty too.